Welcome to Castles, Capes, and Clones presents WandaVision. This is a show where we do a deep dive into WandaVision. We're going to be talking about episode 6. And if you haven't seen this episode yet, please halt, go back to go. Do not collect $200 because we are going to be talking major spoilers for this episode. So come back after you've been able to see that episode. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and do like this post. It really does help us out. Hi, everybody. I'm Loren, and I'm here with Rich and Thom.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Hello.
Doing
How's
all right?
it going?
Good. No complaints on this end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, I said I was going to not watch it when it came out and go to sleep and watch it in the morning so I wouldn't be up all night. And once again, I failed.
I know.
Watch.
It's hard. It's hard to, I'm usually tired during the day.
Yeah.
But I can't even take a nap. I'm so excited to watch the episode that I'm just like, okay, I'm just, I know myself. I'm just going to want to stay up until midnight.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I totally know how you feel.
Yeah.
How about you, Thom? Did you watch it at midnight or later?
I watched it today, but watching like a brand new episode of something at midnight's just a walk in the park for me because I'm a night owl. So
Right.
like I usually don't fall asleep until maybe 3 or 4 in the morning.
Wow.
So so I'm very much a night owl.
Yeah.
So I mean I watched the one before, not the last one, but the one 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I did watch that one a little after midnight.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go into our deep dive. So we got treated to a Malcolm in the Middle theme song, which I thought was a lot of fun. This is the first time that we've seen Agnes and Pietro in the title sequence. And anybody notice anything in the title sequence? Because
I mean, Agnes's butt said naughty.
Wait,
I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that
because she had writing on her pants, and so
That's funny.
It said naughty on it. So I'm like, all right.
Interesting.
I had to pause and read.
Yeah.
The entire sequence was, it was pretty much Malcolm in the Middle. It was very early 2000s. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, again, I'm like,
interesting jump because they didn't go straight 90s. They literally went late 90s, early 2000s on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think everybody expected them to do a Roseanne thing because that would have been the typical sitcom in the 90s.
Or I guess Mary Children was late 80s.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, it was I was actually surprised because one, I never really watched Malcolm in the Middle, so I didn't know that sequence at all was an homage. I'm like, this feels like something I've never seen. Because in the 90s, late 90s, or that's when I stopped watching sitcoms. By that time, I was a teenager driving. So Fridays, I was gone. So all the the TGI Friday sitcom stuff and whatnot, I didn't watch, and I stopped watching TV altogether. I didn't watch. The 90s is a very weird time. I didn't watch much TV. X-Files, I didn't find until after.
Right.
Yeah, same here.
It aired, so I don't actually know what really went on in the 90s.
I didn't really watch Malcolm in the Middle personally.
I have an interesting personal past history with Malcolm in the Middle.
Really?
I had this again, early 2000s. I had a friend of mine who's no longer a friend of mine. His younger brother was literally in Malcolm in the Middle.
Wow.
Yeah. So which which Bryan Cranston was in Malcolm in the Middle. In case you guys don't know,
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston played the main character in Breaking Bad, my favorite second favorite show of all time. So I guess technically, I was like 2 degrees away from Breaking Bad even before it even existed.
Nice.
Nice. I caught a couple of the lyrics in the song, and it says, "Life is an illusion. Let's keep it going through each distorted day." And I thought that was really interesting that they had that in the song, in the title song.
Yeah.
The title sequences with the lyrics, especially the last couple, seem to just be telegraphing what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
And almost like it's maybe Wanda telling herself these things,
Right.
keep it going, don't mind everything. So it's interesting how the theme songs are kind of playing into
what's going on. And so,
like there's more meaning to it than just it's a theme song. It's like there's something there. It's either like a subconscious thing, or maybe it's also a way of whoever might be in charge of it all is trying to convince Wanda subconsciously, just keep going, everything's cool.
Everything's fine, don't worry.
Right. And we'll get into that in a little bit. All right, so the episode opens. Billy is dressed for Halloween, and he looks exactly like Wicked, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. And Tommy is, not dressed as anything, and he's like, "I'm going as a cool kid," and calls Billy a Dorkosaurus Rex,
which I will be using from now on.
Right.
And I was just like, it plays like, I remember I commented last time that the kids acted like kids from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like kid actors back then were very stiff and kind of just like whatever.
Yeah.
These guys played their characters like they're actors. Like,
right.
Yeah.
It's totally a different feel. Like they definitely kind of like kid actors from the 90s or whatever. They actually started acting instead of just like these child actors from the 80s and whatever. Just felt like like they were being fed lines, and they weren't really, there wasn't like, they didn't have any craft involved. They were just kind of like reading things. Like there was no actual acting involved. But these guys, like the actors who play the kids are definitely actors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they had more character in this episode. So Wanda and Vision are dressed as a Sokovian fortune teller and a Mexican wrestler. And
that's one way to put it, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. So Wanda's been acting weird since Pietro showed up, and according to the kids, and Mom and Dad have been different, not fighting, but different.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, yeah, because it really doesn't seem like time really passed since the last episode. Like it almost went straight into this, but it's again sitcom world, so there's weirdness involved. But like, from the moment Vision kind of came down the stairs, there was some tension. I mean, he's kind of complained that, well, the only reason why I'm dressed like this is because there's nothing else in my closet. Like literally, this is it. This is what, and he kind of alludes like, this is what you made me. Like this is all that's there. So
yeah, like I didn't have any other, and then he kind of like covers up what he was going to say with, you're incorrigible, and that they like Mexican wrestlers, and so Vision goes off to do neighborhood watch, or so we think. And Wanda, you can tell, is seriously confused. she kind of was like, well, I thought you were going to do this. And, saying that she has some level of control over Vision that isn't working out in this particular episode. And, I thought that was interesting that Vision just seems to have more autonomy as these episodes go on.
Yeah, it's a build up from last episode because he literally goes, "You can't control me," and she's like, I can't," and the credits roll, and he kept going, and like obviously she's losing control of him.
Yeah.
So and technically this kind of takes place right after.
Literally right.
I mean, this episode definitely shows that he's like aware that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Pietro and Tommy, Wanda says that they don't have any costumes, and Pietro takes him off in super speed, comes back, and they're both dressed as Quicksilver.
Complete with the wingtip hairdo.
Yes, I know that. I thought it was a nice touch.
Right.
Yeah. There were nice nods to the original artwork of their characters.
Yeah. Some people were commenting because Wiccan or Billy looks like Wiccan, like that's his costume pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Speed or Tommy does not actually wear his Speed costume.
Yeah.
Because Speed's costume is green.
Right.
But that's more of a nod to the original look of Quicksilver, which was green. So, but I think most people know Quicksilver as the other version of him. So it kind of made sense to be something a little more modern, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So back in the real world, Monica and the gang confront Hayward because they're pissed that he, armed the drone that Monica sent in, and telling him that he's basically playing with fire. That they don't know what they're going up against, and I think she said something, and I wish I had written this down, but something to the effect of, if Wanda's the problem, she has to be our solution.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because she is still of the mind that she is not the villain here.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's interesting that Hayward, he's part of SWORD, which, is kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D., so they're kind of supposed to be the good guys. And the whole thing where, his whole thing is, you don't know what it was like in those 5 years.
Right.
During the blip, and what he had to do to keep things going. And, it plays into like some new kind of theories on what SWORD is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole exchange feels like he has almost like a thing against superheroes.
Yeah.
And that definitely starts playing into my mind of how mutants in the mutant universe are treated. Like there's distrust of the mutants and whatever.
Right.
So this might be the beginning, the seeds of
mutants in the world.
Yeah. And the fact that, they experimented on Vision. He had Vision for who knows, maybe 5 years while the blip was going on. And more into this episode, they can track him, they can do all these things. He plays an important part to them. He seems to know a lot more about Vision than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know during episode 4, when we meet Monica, I commented on like, what were they building in that big room?
Yeah,
right.
Right.
I think they're building Sentinels.
Oh,
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that.
They're,
as like a self-defense type thing.
yeah, because they're kind of
Right.
confident that like they're not an observation uh, organization. They
Right.
are, actively looking into nanotechnology, robotics, AI,
Yeah.
and Vision was just a shell of what he was, but it was still like a stark thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's based off of Ultron. So that technology, I'm sure they had 5 years looking at it. So,
They had
Yeah.
plenty to work with.
right, like they won't have the mind stone, the power of that, but I think they looked into just how it was constructed.
Mhm.
Right.
And they said, like you said, they're dealing with AI and nanotechnology, and that thing was pretty big, whatever it is they were building. So
Yeah.
maybe they're building their
That's
own sentient
yeah. That's really interesting. I didn't
weapons.
even think about that.
Yeah, because they're Sword, especially him. There is like resentment toward all
Mhm.
these new just. And I mean, I understand it,
Yeah.
but they're still falling in that mindset of just government suits, just super paranoid about about just very black and white, just very
Mhm.
absolute, like, oh, if you're not with us, you're against us. Like if you're not confirmed fighting for us, if you're kind of middle of the road or we don't really know, then you're an enemy, you need to be wiped out.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think we know how much that works out whenever any government agency goes in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like very bloodthirsty. He wants to take
Yeah,
her out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
I mean, like, I feel like this might be a recurring theme throughout this phase, because like watching the the Falcon Winter Soldier trailer,
Mhm.
you know, Zemo has like a hatred towards heroes because of what happened in Sokovia.
Right.
Mhm.
And I feel like he's back, and he's gonna. I don't think he's done with that. I think he's gonna keep on that path of trying to build off of this, like, heroes are the cause of a lot of these
Yeah.
things, right? Like, I know this came from like the Batman universe and then like Nolan things, like escalation.
Yeah.
Batman comes on the scene, things escalate. That's where you get the Joker. That's where you get all these things, and it just keeps going. And like the addition of like heroes to the world has just escalated villains.
Right.
So they can build up. It won't be the same as mutant hatred in the same, like they're different, but it's going to be, I think, a public split on how people view superheroes. Kind of like,
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of things, like the two movies that are playing in the theater in this episode are The Incredibles and Parent Trap. The
Yeah.
Incredibles, while on the surface it's a superhero family, which is kind of what Wanda and the Vision and the kids are, but in the middle of The Incredibles was that these were heroes that had to stop being heroes because the public stopped trusting them,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Right.
Which can, I think, play into how mutants come into it, and that kind of same theme that mutants have gone through, where they're persecuted and hated for who they were.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
And
a really good series.
yeah, and it would make sense because with the whole mutant thing, I mean, because it's more. I mean, at least it's more of a genetic. Well, it is a mutation after all. There'd be
Mhm.
way more of them versus like the Avengers. There's only so many of them. It versus the rest of the population. When these mutants with these weird random powers just popping up everywhere, it makes sense that the general populace would feel at least threatened. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it's still wrong to because even with Fox's version of the X-Men, there were people who were anti-mutant, just like, oh, they're not human, so they're bad.
Right.
right,
So it would make sense that because there's more of them, there'd be more of them popping up if that is the direction this is going, which after today's episode, it seems like we're really going in that direction. Like I feel like Rich, like you mentioned, they're planting the seeds of, all right, this may be where Disney's Marvel starts bringing in the mutants for phases down the line,
Mm-hmm.
which just gets me more excited anyway.
Yeah. So totally.
Yeah.
I'm going to call them the Scooby Gang. Which is Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy. They get kicked off the base, but they have a plan. And I thought it was hilarious seeing Darcy's face when they start punching people in the face. And she's like, why didn't anybody tell me the plan? But she just looked so, it was so funny. It was very classically Darcy.
And she was just pretty much standing there, just wait, what's happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Jimmy Woo is the one who started it. Like he just went straight up, just like punching people, and it's like because it's not something you kind of think of with him, but he is FBI. Like he should be trained in all these kind of things,
right?
But you don't get that kind of feeling like he's because he's an action star, right?
Yeah.
But he was like
the
what the town.
I like the fact that they didn't make him. I mean that they're not making him, just a what is the name of the comedic?
Yeah, just comic relief.
Comic
relief. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're not just making him comic relief. That he does have,
like actual skills and
some skills
that you would imagine an FBI agent would have.
Yeah.
So I thought it was awesome that they let him do it. Like they let him be an FBI agent and not just like the bumbling,
not just funny guy.
Not like Get Smart where it's like he's always like clumsily getting through things and whatever.
Yeah.
Or, like the trope where like pulls out a gun and he fumbles it and does because he's not really confident with it, but they showed him he's very capable. Which means he could have his own show.
I know.
He totally could. Yeah.
I would totally watch a Darcy and Jimmy Woo show.
Totally. I'm telling you, man. The Marvel version of the X-Files with Jimmy Woo and Darcy.
Oh, that'd be great.
I think that would be really awesome.
Right?
Yeah,
that could be ongoing. Like I would definitely watch that. Like with all the crazy stuff that's going on, like the multiverse, magic creatures, anything that's going on, Skrull, the Kree,
right?
Just things they would need to investigate. Yeah,
it's kind of like one of those one shots they did with the Marvel movies, like that they stopped doing, which I wish they would keep going with. The one where the two people find one of like the Chitauri weapons and they keep going, but there's like a group that are looking for all that stuff, right? There should be just a section of Sword, Shield, FBI, whatever, that are just investigating like meta human kind of weird stuff that's not normal. And Jimmy Woo kind of in the middle of what's going on here, he kind of gets shot to being expert at some of this stuff. And the same thing with Darcy, having dealt with the origins of Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then now this, it would make sense for them to be utilized in that way.
I would love it.
So do it.
Marvel, if you're listening.
Yeah, they're probably they're probably doing it already. They're probably working on it.
I'm pretty sure.
Always something like that.
I feel like you can't have filmed this and not realize what great chemistry
we can
those two had. Yeah. So.
So the Wanda and Pietro go out with kids to go trick or treating, and Wanda starts testing Pietro. And he's like, "You're testing me," and she wonders why he looks different, but he doesn't give her a straight answer. And I thought that was really interesting. That he's kind of avoiding talking specifics with Wanda.
Yeah.
At first, I mean, he's kind of dodging. No pun intended. He's kind of dodging, the main subject, at least at first. But then, he's just like, I'm your brother, I'm not your husband, I'm not strangers, you could just tell me.
Right.
And you can tell that she's, she's having a hard time with it because this whole thing is just a coping mechanism for her.
Yeah.
But just it adds to the mystery, like, yeah, she is doing this, but like it just all of a sudden she has all these powers, and it makes sense that she doesn't quite understand,
Mm-hmm.
clearly, like it's like she has basic knowledge of it, but she's not entirely clear on what gives her these abilities all of a sudden.
Right.
So uh yeah, it to me, it just, I know we all agree on this, it just lends to the idea that there's something huge at play here behind, like behind what's really going on, and she's
Mm-hmm.
just a small part of it.
Right.
Right.
I
Right.
think like I think he is like he's the manifestation of her, part of her subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
because he's
Mm-hmm.
also very aware of what's going on. He mentions it, like, how are you
Yeah.
doing this?
Yeah.
Um, and it's like the line where she's like, that I remember things differently. It's almost as if it's kind of like her, like the commercials throughout each one of these is like something about trauma in her life, and I think part
Mm-hmm.
of her is, he kind of mentions it, like she is kind of suppressing things, so some things aren't quite what she remembers.
Right.
um and that is definitely a manifestation in Pietro, because he is her brother, but not the same. Like there's
Yeah.
something she didn't get right when creating
Yeah.
him.
Mm-hmm.
um and, like something with Vision, like Vision is her version of Vision, but there's something about both those two that have their almost like their own
Right.
kind of consciousness, but like, like, but it's still part of Wanda.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting because they are trying to make you believe that there's something sketchy about him. But I think that the the more that I think about it, what you were saying is that he's probably uh, the suppressed subconscious, that that's what Pietro is, and not, necessarily the bad guy.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this plays into, like, I feel like there is something controlling or putting Wanda through this, and just it's her mind trying to fight back against it.
Mm-hmm.
I think having Pietro and Vision, they're not them, but I feel like it's her version of them. So the part of her that is in Vision is the one that's trying to figure out. She's like, she knows something's wrong,
Right.
right? And so Vision literally is her Vision. She's using
Mm-hmm.
him as a way to figure out what's going on, where
Yeah.
Pietro is like her subconscious trying to tell her
Mm-hmm.
some of these things. Um, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, I know. It's like the theories are endless on this show. But anyway, Wanda runs across Herb, who is you know getting the lowdown on what's going on in the community in terms of neighborhood watch. And she's like, oh, maybe Vision can help you. And he's like, oh, Vision isn't working tonight. And she's like, I have clearly been lied to.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks if there's anything he can do for her, and if she wants him to change something. So I thought that was interesting. That he asked her. He seems like he's into the story, but every so often these characters break out and start, you know, asking her if this is what she wants, or, you know, moving forward, kind of taking direction.
Yeah, like almost like all these people in there that aren't, Pedro and Vision
Mm-hmm.
are like this potential, like almost like they're all a collective uh manifestation of whatever could be really doing this.
Right.
Like earlier with oh, do you want me to do another take?
Yeah.
This, do you want me to change anything? It's just like she's being spoken to by something that's not really these people. Like they're all kind of they're these vessels that she does have some control over,
Right.
but it's just there. I mean, there is obviously something sinister going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, yeah,
Part of
yeah, I
my
noticed
theory
that
is
too.
that there's a group of people that she was in New Jersey for a reason with
Mm.
Vision.
Right.
The whole theory that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, and that's kind of why she's a witch and she has powers as well.
Mhm.
And I think that, while she's, and we'll get into her part of it, but like she's like part of it, like there's part of her that can't control what's going on, but part of her that's more aware than say Norm is. Like Norm seemed like only until Vision broke him out of it. He's deep into whatever character is being forced upon him by
Right.
Wanda or whoever.
Yeah.
But both, and I would even say Dottie, but we don't see much of her. But
Yeah, we haven't
Herb,
seen her.
Agnes had that moment where they both are aware of things. It's not like he broke out of something like Vision didn't help him break out of it. He's aware that
Right.
something is not right, but he's
Yeah.
part of something. He's going along with it, and he's trying to, kind of like Agnes, make sure everything's okay.
Mhm.
So maybe he's also part of whatever coven or whatever is going on.
Mhm.
I believe like the three characters, because again, Agnes says Dottie is the center of things. So
Yeah.
it could be that she is it, or
Could be.
more related to it. But I think Herb is kind of like whatever Agnes is, whatever role that she is, like he's in
Right.
the same ish boat.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be able to break out of character when needs be, and be like, that's why he's like, do you want to change things? Or like when
Yeah.
Vision was talking with both Herb and Agnes, he's about to say like, Monica's here because they're all, and then Agnes stops him from saying what it is.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
To keep the illusion, basically. So
Yeah.
but I did find it funny that they, like, Herb on the radio was talking to whoever, and everything he said was going on
What
around.
Quicksilver
Like
and the
what?
kids are doing.
Everything's covered with silly string.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a few, like a second or
Like
two before those things actually
Right.
happened.
After it happened. So
Yeah.
That was a funny scene, I thought.
yeah, and like I know it's, I don't know which part is it. Is around that era, that time where they threw in the Kick-Ass
Yeah.
nod reference, right? Because both Evan Peters and Aaron Taylor Johnson were in Kick-Ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That was another thing.
Yeah, like random. She's like, that wasn't just random. She's just like, Kick-Ass.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was
It's a good
funny.
nod.
I forgot to write that down. Thanks for bringing that up. So anyway, Vision walks to the barrier and he sees that people are acting weird. Like he comes across this couple who are putting up decorations, but they're like moving, the same movement. And he sees a woman. There's a tear that's running down her cheek. Again, going back to the pain that they are feeling. And it must, suck to be in that part of town where time has stopped.
Yeah, or at least in some kind of
I
quick
mean, it's
loop.
not that time has stopped, and they kind of touch on it. It's that the further away from the center of things, the less control
that
So,
Wanda has.
it goes to the when Pietro was like, "What'd you do with all the kids before this?" Like,
Yeah.
oh, did you just have them all sleeping in their beds and you only use them when you need them to?
Right.
Because one of the biggest argument, like Vision was like, "Where are all the kids?" And in this episode, they're everywhere all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like, what this I think the show does well is that it asks and then answers the questions that the audience has. Where are all the kids? And then like you watch the show for a little bit and you just realize, okay, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of kids, or like tons of kids around.
Right.
And Pietro points to it, like doesn't hide the fact, doesn't gloss over it. Like, so where'd all these kids come from?
Yeah. We're jumping ahead a little bit.
I mean, it came into like that's what's going on is that Wanda, it still makes it seem like it's Wanda, but I don't think it is, because she was talking about last episode where you think I'm the one who's making sure they go brush their teeth or whatever, and we
then
see
she
that
says
no one, like, they aren't doing that stuff. They're just in this like zombie state loop but since they're outside of the epicenter, it's not that time to stop, it's that they have nothing to do.
Right.
And whatever bandwidth whoever is actually at the center of this is not using them at the moment.
So
they are aware.
Yeah. So we get to the commercial for Yo Magic, the snack for survival. Now this one, what are your thoughts on this particular commercial?
It got dark quick.
Yeah. Although I would have totally been that kid trying to open up a package of yogurt or whatever. I cannot open those things to save my life. I would have been that kid. But what do we think of this commercial?
I think this is so everything has been a tragedy in Wanda's life. Her childhood with a toaster, and then it went into experimentation from Strucker,
and Hydra
Soak, which is indoctrinated by Hydra and all that kind of stuff. And then and then this one I think is Vision. I think with all, like, it's kind of like without the magic, without opening that magic, Vision dies. Vision's dead.
Interesting.
Because that Yo Magic, I mean, it's kind of like Yo Play and Go-Gurt, right? But like, it's the magic. It's that he's trying to open that magic, and that's what's going to save that kid who could represent Vision. And without that magic, Vision's going to die.
That's true. Like, it's the snack for survival.
Yeah.
So he needs to eat the snack.
And he's also kind of trapped on that island. Like, I think they're all. It's kind of alluding that they're all trapped.
Yeah.
Right. In Westview. So I think this is the Vision tragedy in her life.
Yeah.
So, but I like that it's very 90s. Early
with the claymation and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't think that was fake claymation. It looked pretty real. I think they actually made that legitimately, just like they would have back in the 90s.
Oh yeah, totally.
Or they did a really good job at recreating that CGI was.
It really did look like it. Okay, so what's her name? Oh, actually, Pietro asked what happened to her accent. Or no, wait, who asked? Somebody asked it first. I think it's Wanda.
I think Wanda asked him first, like, where's your accent? And he asked her, that's like, where's yours? Like, everything was like that.
And then he says, I got shot up, and the next thing I know, I hear you calling me. You needed me. And so again, some deflection or some truth. Who knows what what he's saying there, if it's actually him or not. It's very interesting.
It goes into what I think, that he's a manifestation of her consciousness, part of her consciousness. Because he doesn't answer anything, because she herself doesn't know what's going on totally.
Right.
I mean, she breaks the barrier in previous episode, and her accent's there. So it's not gone. It's just, it's now part of the illusion of this life, Yeah. And this whole episode is them talking about, like, he's very aware of what's going on. He keeps asking these questions, like, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? How'd this all start? And she doesn't know. It's almost like she's asking her. She's also, well, Vision's kind of the manifestation of actual going out there trying to find answers. Like, Pietro is like, then her other part of her mind asking the questions, like, what is going on? Like, find the answers, like, what's going on, and it's happening at the same time that Vision is out there trying to find answers. So the whole thing where he's like, next thing I know, I heard you calling me that you needed me. And I think that's what it is. The last memory she has of Pietro is him getting shot.
Right.
And then here he is. And I think it goes to the fact that, like, Vision is Vision's body. We know that. But, you can't pull Pietro's body.
I thought that was interesting. And well, even Vision, like, they were working on him. He was in pieces. So like the corpse Vision that we have seen is literally like the moment after Thanos kills him. It's just his dead body just right there. So it's, I mean, obviously, Pietro, like it's just, we see like his corpse, his corpse version of himself, complete with bloody bullet holes.
Right.
And so I mean, and considering what happens to Vision, at the end of the episode, what is the reality? Are they, I mean, it's pretty, or maybe it's not obvious that all the citizens there, like, are they all real people just trapped there? Only some of them, maybe the only ones that were real people that are stuck there are like Agnes and and a few of the other ones, like the ones that are able to kind of break character temporarily, like asking if they want another take, things like that. Do you want anything changed? But now that we saw Pietro's corpse, and she saw him too, temporarily, I know I asked the question, like, throughout the whole thing, is she seeing Vision? Like, is she seeing his corpse and is just kind of ignoring it? Or is she fooling herself too? I guess she has been fooling herself.
I think she's been.
I think she's fooling herself. I think that she, like, again, this couldn't pull into the multiverse. Like, she pulled within the multiverse the existing Pietro from somewhere else and brought him into this reality. I think that's where Evan Peters comes in. But she, like, so it's almost like that is Pietro from another universe, but she's using that body, that person, and putting in her Pietro's, her version of him. That's why it's not totally complete. There's missing pieces. There's things that are a little bit foggy because it's pulling from her memories, and even he says, like, you're suppressing a lot of their childhood. Like, they're only just talking about the fun, like, we went trick-or-treating, and then you see them, and then you can tell, like, behind them in that scene, like, there's a war going on in Sokovia. Yet here they are trick-or-treating, and that old lady giving them a fish. you know, and then the whole scene where it's like, oh, you know, mom and dad would have liked this. Like she's like trying to just play off the fun memories. And then once she starts getting into the sad ones, that's when things in her mind start not unraveling, but like it's kind of bringing her out of it, which is why I think every time she does that, something happens to bring her back.
Right.
Right. So, you know.
All right. Well, shortly thereafter, Tommy displays his speed powers.
Mm-hmm.
And they go off, and Wanda tells him not to wander past Ellis Avenue, which is the barrier, obviously. Mm-hmm. The Scooby Gang breaks into Hayward's files, and they see that they are tracking Vision, which they found interesting. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of that?
It would make sense considering that they had his body and they were working on him.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me. I was like, oh, yeah, of course they're tracking him. But I thought it was, again, weird, but not surprising that they didn't reveal that at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, for me, it brings up a couple more questions. Like, you know, how much did they know already about this anomaly before, you know, before Rambo showed up, and before, like how much of it really was a mystery? Was it something? Yeah, it brings up a couple questions. Like, if they were able to track Vision, like were they able to do it the entire time, or was it just when Wanda took him back to back to this this, I guess I like to see it as some kind of like interdimensional anomaly, I guess, because I still think it's a version of that.
The hex.
The hex, officially. So yeah, I think I thought it was interesting that they were able to do that, and if you know, that being the case, how long have they been able to do that?
Yeah,
I think
it was very shady.
I think they didn't know where he was until this started.
Oh, this started,
because
I guess
if they could have tracked him, they would have known that that's where he was.
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point they lost. I think when Wanda took him, I think they can't track him everywhere. I think they have to have him in the vicinity, and they know how to find him that way. But I don't think they have the technology yet to see where he is at any given time. I think that's what. I think that's why. You know, Hayward kind of escalated all this because he knows that Vision's here, and I think he wants Vision.
He wants
back.
For their research.
So I think that it was only until now. What's interesting is that, you know, when they're going through his files, the project is called Project Cataract, and you know, Cataract, you know, it has, you know, it's the kind of like film lens of the eye, right? And the character's name is Vision. So there's definitely something. I mean, obviously there's something that Sword wants with Vision and what they've done with him, and they're not done with it.
Right.
And I think he is. I honestly do think it's if it's not the Sentinels, it's something similar. That they're trying to do.
And I think they want to take Wanda out, not because she's a threat, but because not a threat to the town, but a threat to them getting Vision back.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
So.
Because like I think they're surprised that he's still alive. And they can't do anything with him if he's got a conscience and he's, you know, whatever. And I think, you know, plays into what happens later in this episode. You the Sword is definitely not in the business of trying to bring a conscious Vision back, or having anything to hinder them getting him back.
Mm-hmm.
The body, the husk of
Yeah.
Vision back.
Yeah. So Vision keeps going toward the barrier. People are barely moving, if not moving at all. And, are they alive? Who knows? Vision wonders the same thing. Now, you have a theory about what's happening with the people there, Rich. You want to say it again?
About the people on the edge
Yeah.
there. Yeah, like whoever's controlling them, there's just there's no bandwidth to control them all. Like it's like kind of Wanda said in the earlier episode that, do you think I can have that power and concentration to make sure and there's 3,000 people in this town. That's what they said. Like, you've taken 3,000 people hostage. And to control all of that and to make sure that everyone's doing that would take a lot of concentration, a lot of power. I think we're seeing here that that's true. And whoever is doing it, if it's Wanda or if it's a combination, there isn't any power to do that. So everyone's just kind of, they're there when needed or whatnot, but because they're not at the epicenter of the episode, the sitcom episode, there's no need for them to be super active. That's why Pietro is like, oh, it's good. You just keep them sleeping in their beds, like that's where the kids normally are. But it kind of points that this is really a nightmare. Like, if this is Wanda doing it, and I don't think it is, because I think you don't take one of the Avengers and totally make them evil.
Yeah.
And I think at some point there's like the Ben Solo effect. You can't redeem him enough because he killed Han Solo.
Right.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
By the way,
I think if Wanda was aware that she was causing this much pain, it would be hard to redeem her.
Yeah.
As a hero again. So I do think it's part of whoever is behind all this.
Yeah.
Is also not powerful enough to control the minds of 3,000 people all at once. I think, especially in this episode, because there's so many people active at the epicenter, that I think that even makes it harder. I think that's why. In this episode we can see that how bad it can get, because everyone's active where Wanda is, but that's a lot of people to kind of keep track of. So everyone in the outskirts suffers because of it. I think in a normal episode, I think Pedro said, like, you just have them sleeping, but in this episode they're kind of like, literally you see her trying to hang up some laundry but not finishing it, and this keeps going over. The guy in the background has a jack-o'-lantern, putting it on the ground, picking it back up, putting it on the ground. And at some point they're kind of subconsciously aware that's going on, and that's why you see the tear.
Yeah, that part kind of disturbed me.
It was very disturbing.
Like they know, like you say, to a certain degree, that they're just stuck in these couple seconds, just a few seconds that they can't finish. Like, that would be pretty terrifying,
right?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so Vision goes aerial to check things out, and he comes across Agnes, who looks like she's trying to get out of town. Vision awakens her, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're an Avenger. You can help us." And he's like, "I'm a what?" Like he doesn't know what an Avenger is.
Yeah.
And she asks if he's dead. This is a famous scene from the trailer.
Yeah.
And he says, "No, why would you think that?" And she says, "Because you are."
Yeah.
And then she kind of goes crazy, like a little nuts. And she did say that Wanda is in her head, but there's part of me that's like, I wonder if she's trying to deflect from who's actually in charge. Yeah, who knows?
I think the difference with her is that we know that she knows what's going on, so it's not a Norm incident.
Yeah.
And that cackle that she does kind of just, I feel like it just says that this was part of a plan, like that encounter was part of the plan.
Right.
And I think it's I mean, I don't know who's behind it. Like, again, it's pointing to Wanda, but I don't think it is Wanda. So it could be, I mean, who knows what it could be, but I don't think that was I don't think Agnes is that helpless.
Yeah,
as that scene made her seem.
That's what I was thinking too. Like when I watch it, I'm like, the last episode, I thought, maybe she is like under Wanda's control. But then when I watched this, I thought, interesting. He seems a little bit not like in control of herself.
Yeah, not completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys know she was dressed as a witch, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just like another nod to that.
Yeah.
And like I said, in the credit scene, her butt said naughty. And that's not, nothing's by accident. Everything's there specifically for a purpose. And so
yeah,
I think that's like foreshadowing that there's something that's not quite truthful about her.
Right.
So I noticed, at least from, watching it earlier today, so Vision has no memory of anything before this. He still has, essentially the majority of his powers, at least that we've seen so far. So he's aware of his abilities for the most, pretty much. But he has no idea what the heck an Avenger is.
Right.
But Pietro was able to recall his own death.
Yeah.
But they're both essentially manifestations. So thoughts and opinions on that?
Yeah, in the last episode, he says to her, I don't remember before Westview.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have any memories of his life before Westview. He just knows what he is. Like that he's a synthezoid that has certain powers. Yeah. So anyway,
he is what Wanda wants him to be.
Right.
Doesn't want him to know what happened to him.
Right.
And knowing that he was an Avenger, like, he doesn't need to know that in this world. So, but again, it could be her mind just trying to also, what I mean? Like, it's like, it's so different. There's many different levels. So it's like the Wanda that is trying to build this world, but then there's the Wanda inside of her that's trying to, like, that's still an Avenger. Knows that something is wrong. And so, like, almost like Wanda's different parts of her consciousness are fighting each other. One of them is trying to keep the illusion. One of them is trying to figure out what's going on, or maybe more of them are ever trying to figure out what's going on. So the Vision part's trying to figure out what's going on. Pietro is trying to convince her that something, like, things are weird, right? But then there's part of her, like the theme song is trying to remind her, like, everything's fine, just keep going.
Right.
Life is an illusion, but everything's happy.
Yeah.
That's what you want. So, yeah.
Where am I? I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Okay. California.
I know. So the Scooby Gang goes to meet the aerospace engineer friend of Monica, but Darcy tells them that she cannot go back in because her cells have been rewritten twice, and that it's changing her.
Like they mutated.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. we should, I guess, maybe have a powered Monica baby by the end of this episode. I mean, not episode, show.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
like I
I'd be
said,
surprised if they didn't
like
go in that
some of the
direction.
merchandise already has her. Like we haven't seen her yet in a black and white ish uniform episode.
Right.
But there's merchandise with her in a black and white photon
yeah,
or spectrum thingy.
outfit.
And yeah, again, like, you know, no dialogue is there by accident. That's definitely pointing to something. Like we know something's pointing to the fact that she's gonna get some kind of power.
Right.
But yeah,
I think that it's awesome that they are not shying away from it. Like there was part of me that was like, they're probably not gonna give her powers for a while. Like she's just gonna be Monica Rambeau. But I like the fact that they are starting to introduce the thought that she is superpowered.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I didn't think they would shy away from it. I think they started that in Captain Marvel. So
yeah,
the seeds of that was already planted that she was something special.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think Marvel's done anything subtly.
Really. Right.
But you know, who knows? But I don't know if we're gonna see her powers manifest and have something to do with what happens at the end, or we just see it like emerge and then
right.
Stay tuned for Captain Marvel 2 to see what happens.
That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Like we see it, she doesn't like become a full superhero at the end, but her powers manifest, and then we see the rest of it in Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that I feel like they're both on this similar, in the real world and in the sitcom, like just a similar path between Monica and I think Wanda. That there's forces trying to stop them from doing something, or trying to, like, I feel like there's something that like there's almost two sets of antagonists going on. And we don't know what Sword is up to. We also don't know what's going on inside Wanda's head, basically.
Right.
I think at the end, it's, you know, when she says Wanda's a solution, I think it's both Monica and Wanda as a solution.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think at the end, I think at the end it's going to be both of them working together.
Right.
Like
I definitely think that.
Yeah, that would make sense. It's going in that direction.
Yeah, with the kids, I think.
So Monica doesn't care that, you know, this is changing her. She's going to go regardless. Darcy stays behind because she knows Hayward is up to something bigger than what they're seeing right away. Back in Westview, Pietro asks Wanda where she's been hiding all the kids. He said, no need to traumatize them beyond the occasional holiday episode cameo.
Which is what this one was.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we hit upon this, but like, you know, this episode, Wanda doesn't shy away from using her powers in public anymore. Like this is no longer them trying to hide anything. Kind of what she said in the last episode. She's like, why should we hide it?
She doesn't want to hide.
Yeah.
And she's definitely not. So
right.
I think that's a kind of a cool thing. So they can just, but no one acknowledges it. Like no one really. It's almost like everyone knows.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, Wanda's worried.
Yeah.
Wanda's worried that Pietro disapproves, but he says, no, I don't. I don't disapprove. And but he does ask her how she did all this, and she said she doesn't really know. She just remembers feeling really alone,
Hmm.
and like some kind of despair and hopelessness. Then she sees Pietro dead and freaks her out, just like she did with Vision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot to unpack there. With Pietro asking how she did all this, um, and yeah, it's just so interesting.
I mean, it kind of goes to what I'm thinking is that every time she goes into this like reminiscing state, things start um, almost like they're coming into focus for her, and then something has to pull her back. And then,
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Vision and then seeing Pietro kind of like jars her back into like, no, you want this. You want this because you want a happier time. This is what you want. This is the world that you want, because if not, you're gonna go back into this loneliness that she was talking about. And you want this perfect world, and then
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's back and he's like, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, I'm cool, but
I just saw your corpse. I'm okay.
yeah. So it's like, I don't think at this moment it was like, I don't think Pietro is a walking zombie and
Yeah.
whatever. I think it's just like her, again, her conscious jarring her like, hey, you're showing despair again. This is what you get, and then it'll wake her up and be like, no, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't want the reality, which is that he's dead.
Right.
I want the my reality where he is alive, even though he looks different and whatever.
Yeah. All right. So Vision tries to leave Westview. Hayward and his crew are on the other side waiting for him. But as he tries to exit, he's literally being pulled apart. And Wiccan can sense this. So his powers start manifesting as well.
Mhm.
He can feel the pain, and he tells his mom. And Pietro said not to sweat it because Vision can't die twice. And
She didn't like
Wanda,
that. She wasn't
Wanda
crazy about
literally
that
hits him
comment.
with an energy ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. He was very mean in saying that about Vision, and makes me wonder again what his true intentions are.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it still plays into what we've kind of been talking about. Like he's almost like question things, but like also is reassuring that everything she's doing is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I think I mean, I don't know, but I feel like or it could be like whoever's controlling it is also, because I feel like sometimes he also breaks that character. Like
Right.
Yeah.
all of a sudden goes to 180 and is the I'm here to cause you grief character
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
What I found like kind of interesting is that Wiccan's power manifests, but unlike, because he's supposed to have like Wanda's powers.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Wanda's powers have a red aura around everything.
Right.
Wiccan's powers has blue aura,
Mm.
a blue
Yeah.
aura,
Yeah.
which I found pretty cool,
Right.
actually. But he also can feel Vision, kind of similar to Wanda.
Yeah. He's
So,
got telepathic
yeah.
powers, and so that was really cool. I like the fact that again they're not shying away from bringing Wiccan and Speed into this world. They are doing it.
Yeah.
Did you catch Pietro's line to them earlier in the episode where it's like, "Go forth, Hellspawn,"
Yeah.
which
I didn't.
plays into the theory that they are, Mephisto
Hellspawn.
Yeah.
is part of this, and they are like in the comics, they are shards of his
Soul.
soul or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, go forth, that was fun.
I know. There's just, I mean, like literally one door opens and one door closes.
Yeah.
You know, you just never know what's going to happen. All right. So Wanda extends the barrier, and Darcy gets trapped while the sword camp turns into a circus and the agents into clowns. And I think there has to be a reason why Darcy entered the hex, because you know
Yes.
they tied her up there, or they handcuffed her there, and you know, with the intention of her actually getting sucked into the land. And what's interesting is that they didn't show what she turned into,
Yeah.
just what the agents of Sword.
She turned into a waitress in a diner.
Who knows? She couldn't possibly have done that.
That would be awesome if they went so meta and they made her her character similar character to her character in Two Broke Girls. But I mean, like this thing, we don't really know. Here's what's in. I think that's an unanswered question and like hasn't really been touched on, is what happened to the beekeeper?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's still somewhere. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's someone who broke into the world. Something like Monica, where there is still a little bit of their real world consciousness. So it's like whatever happened to the townspeople, because they were there already, is different than the people who came in, which is why I also think maybe also like Agnes, Herb, the mailman.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Weren't there or weren't part of the original thing, and they just ended up going there.
Right.
Like there's something where they are also outsiders. I think that's also why they never identified Agnes.
Maybe.
The Herb was identified. So
yeah,
that there was that. But I feel like with Darcy having knowledge of what's going on, I think now that you know, and we kind of, I think it's not a mistake that we realize that we can see the effects of the power the further away from the epicenter is. So she's now created a larger area to control, and I think she's not going to be able to.
Yeah,
like, whoever's doing this is not going to control all 3,000 of the residents, and then all of a sudden all these new sword agents.
Right.
Darcy. So I think that Darcy is going to be there to, you know, like her deal is that she wants to help. So
yeah,
I think she's going to try to be, again, an ally. And if what Monica said to Wanda is like somewhere subconsciously, you know, I am an ally.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe that'll happen. And then I have also a weird theory. Like I kept playing, like maybe it's the opposite of House of M, where she creates mutants. I feel like, you know, the whole, like they planted the seeds that barrier can somehow manipulate DNA, like what happened to Monica.
Right.
I think at the end of this, she might snap. The whole thing ends like no more dream, no more whatever, and then she like makes everything back into reality. But that bubble bursts.
Yeah.
Kind of like when the snap happened, right? There's like a wave of energy.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the trigger for mutations around the world.
Yeah, so. It's possible. It's a possibility.
So
yeah, it's just the possibilities are endless with the show.
I wanted to say that I appreciated Darcy's not F-bomb. She said, "Oh fudge."
Oh, fudge.
Yeah.
I got a great kick out of that. Like, just like I was like, are they gonna do it? Like for like a split second, I'm like, they're not gonna do it. It's like, oh,
it's like the last episode where she's like, oh, that's because he's and she's supposed to say, you know, and then they cut to Hayward going terrorist.
I know. Too funny.
But I also point out that I think we were talking about earlier, but like we can assume that this this aerospace engineer is a guy,
Mhm.
because Monica gets a call or a text or something. He's like, my guy's here over the ridge, just go get him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of speculation that it could be Reed Richards, it could
Right.
be
It's got to be somebody big. It's just got to be somebody.
Well, yeah,
big.
like we were talking about this before we started recording. I'm like, they strung us along for 2 episodes at this point. Like,
Right.
if it's not, Wanda, Lizzie Olsen was kind of a quoted-ish the thing. There's still a Luke Skywalker level reveal,
Mhm.
and now because of this, whoever this is has been teased for 2 episodes now. It
Right.
better be something good.
Somebody
Otherwise,
huge.
this would be the one of the only missteps I feel this show will have. Is like, if it's
Right.
not somebody, like, you built this up for 2 episodes,
Right.
at least 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, I had my own theories, but do you think it could be someone already existing in the Marvel universe, or do you think it's someone new? At least, new for Disney's Marvel anyway.
I think it's going to be somebody new. I think.
Okay.
I really do think it's either going to be Reed Richards or Victor Rondu. I just have this feeling.
Or I think I said this before. Like, it could be like Sue Storm's dad. But I think at this point, Sue Storm's dad wouldn't be enough. It has to be a name.
Exactly.
So, like, at this point, I'm thinking it is Reed Richards. I think it's got to be, and then people can go crazy.
Yeah, because I can't believe that Monica would be friends with Victor Rondu.
Yeah, because I mean, like, even the cast might even know at some, like, when I was watching an interview with Kat Dennings, and she was even saying, like, when she didn't know Evan Peters was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
They said, like, even we didn't know. Like, there was this dude they kept covering up with, like, coats and stuff, so, like, drones couldn't get a picture of who this was.
Right.
So even then, the guy kept in the dark until the last moment where they would need to see who it is. But
yeah,
if somehow John Krasinski shows up as Reed Richards,
I know. Oh my god! Can you imagine
with Emily Blunt in tow?
Right.
That would I think be definitely.
I'd literally be dead. Yeah, I'd literally die at that moment. So,
because then you're like, it's happening. Like, the fantastic. Like, I know they teased it,
right,
at the earnings call or whatever.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Like, they kept that under wraps for this show.
Right.
That's like epic level of secrecy and whatever.
Yeah.
And that would be the greatest reveal. But at this point, I feel like it has to be that Luke Skywalker moment where, like,
right.
Oh my god, they did it. Like, Pietro as Evan Peters as Pietro was cool and all.
Yeah.
I actually love his character. Like, he's only been in this episode, really, but I love the addition of his character to the mix.
Oh, I do too. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's great. Him showing up, especially like this version of, Evan Peters' version of him, that's compared to Mandalorian, like this reveal is like when Boba Fett finally showed up, in season 2 Mandalorian. You're like, oh, but we knew something bigger was coming.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm saying, like, you can't do this for 2 episodes,
right?
And not have it be somebody big. Because they kept, if they didn't really, like, emphasize, like, oh, my guy's here, like, whatever, like, like, then maybe, but now I feel it has to be
right,
and everything's pointing to is either going to be a mutant that we've known, or it's Reed Richards. I think. I'm trying to think, like, which mutant could it be that could be an aerospace engineer.
Yeah,
like it was Hank McCoy, or no, not even Forge would be big enough a name. It would have to be a big name X-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
To make
Riverdance.
everyone scream at their TVs and monitors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, the final moments of the show, Wanda opens her eyes and the episode ends.
Mm-hmm. Very
Yeah.
abruptly.
The episode felt like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
felt-
Yeah. This one really flew by.
Yeah.
like I was literally like, you kind of, every single time you see the like please stand by whatever, you're just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode I was like angry. Like really.
Right? Well, I
This
kept
is what
going.
it is?
I kept going, okay, what's next? And then
Yeah.
I realized, wait, it's ended. Darn it.
Yeah.
Like I was hoping like the last moment would be we see who it is that Monica goes to see. Like,
Yeah.
but we don't even get like, cause that's what I was saying. Like you let us on for 2 episodes and it's still a cliffhanger, like who that is.
Right.
But yeah, I was like literally angry, going like, more so than any of the other, more so than I was at anything in the Mandalorian or other previous episodes. And it's like, man, one more week. Now it's like, really? This is where this is going to end this time? Like at this moment?
Yeah. It's
like show us Darcy. Like we didn't get to see what happened to Darcy. Really, we don't see the person they went after.
I know so much we haven't seen yet that we're going to have to see in the coming days. So anyway, anything else, guys?
I had a question for you guys. Do you think that Wanda recreated the Mind Stone in Vision?
I was wondering something like that too. Like, what about the Mind Stone? Is it there? Is it not there? I mean, well, that's what essentially powered Vision. So
yeah, I feel like I don't know if he has the power to. Well, she has the power to break the Mind Stone. Maybe she has the power to reassemble the Mind Stone. So I don't know. It's possible.
Okay, hear me out.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So I mean, I think you guys know who my favorite Avenger is, and it's Captain America. It's Steve. He essentially, Rich, like after Rich and I saw Endgame, where like at the end where he returns all of the stones, that in and of itself could be, and I've seen like, back when this started, people were talking just on social media in general, like, can we get like a Disney Plus series of just Steve returning everything? Because I would watch it. I think we all would. Because for us it only took he was gone for 5 seconds, something like that, maybe 10.
Like that,
but that was clearly must have taken a while for him. So maybe at some point during, because he's essentially going back in time and kind of trying to fix things, maybe at some point he was intercepted. And maybe the Mind Stone maybe he wasn't successful in returning the Mind Stone, or at least he thought he was, and it was taken. I don't know. I'm just, this is total conspiracy theory level stuff I'm coming up with. I'm just trying to come up with a reason to bring Captain America back. Like in some way, even if it's indirectly, because like, I mean, we are playing with the multiverse. So
there is a rumor that he's going to be coming back, but as a multiverse version of himself.
And that would make sense considering what WandaVision is essentially diving into, and then we already know about the Doctor Strange film and all that. So it would, but at the same time, Corpse Vision, he doesn't have the Mind Stone. It's just what we saw what he looked like when he was killed by Thanos.
Well, the question is, when he's returning the stones, where does he bring the Mind Stone?
Oh yeah.
Like at what point in the timeline does he go back to bring us, and where does he leave the Mind Stone?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because
And what if if your theory of he got intercepted, what if it's Loki?
Oh jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's
That
going on
one-
with Loki. Loki's traveling.
Yeah,
Like he's
he-
got the
Yeah.
space stone. He's got
Yeah.
the Tesseract.
Right.
And he's having fun. I
So
mean,
what if
at
that
least-
is
at least
the
based
Mind
off the
Stone?
trailer.
Like that is the Mind Stone. Somehow it gets put back. What if Captain America puts it back into Vision?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Which
that
maybe.
could be.
You know.
Oh man, I tell you. Again, another door closes, another door opens.
Yeah.
Hydra.
So
It's always
Yeah.
Hydra.
Yeah. Yeah. In
Always
this
Hydra.
case,
Cut
it's
off one
door
head,
closes and
4
two
more
other
pop
doors
up.
open.
Opens.
Yeah.
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 At least 2.
Yeah. So you know what's gonna happen in
Right.
3-4 weeks or whatever. We're gonna be like, all right, so when is Doctor Strange coming out?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Because I don't think Winter Soldier is gonna hit upon most of this stuff that comes out of the show.
No. It's
So we're
be
gonna have
its own
really
thing.
literally have to wait till Doctor Strange comes out.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be torturous.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. For
Like
sure.
more so than finding out what happened to Grogu and the Mandalorian and the Skywalker. And trust me, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
At the end of this, if it's like the doors open to the Fantastic Four and mutants, and they're like, stay tuned to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Right.
Just be like, is that in 2022?
Yeah. Is it next year? We don't have to wait 5 years for that, do we?
Like, what are we?
Yeah.
Are they? Did they film? Are they filming? Did they film it yet?
I
Oh,
don't know. I don't
Because
know.
I know. I mean, they're filming Shang-Chi.
Right.
They just started Ant-Man. They've been filming Spider-Man. Did they film
Did they
Doctor
what?
Strange? Did they start Doctor Strange
I
earlier already?
Last I saw, they were having some production issues.
right.
If only there was something that we can.
If only we had some kind of technology where we can look
know.
up literally anything we want.
Yeah. Exactly. Somebody look it up.
I mean, this was months ago. Like this was, I think I remember hearing about the whole maybe production issues with Multiverse of Madness, like around when the quarantine started. If I'm
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing something about that. I was like,
Right.
I was like, because I remember when they announced it, they're like, yeah, this is actually going to be kind of a horror film. It's going to be scary. It's going to
Yeah.
be dark. I was like, oh, good. Like, I don't remember who the director was at the time, or if it's the
Scott
same
Derrickson.
person. Okay,
So,
so
yes, we are going to have to wait a year because it's
Right.
slated for March 25th, 2022. Back
So
in
long.
October, Benedict Cumberbatch was quoted as saying, "Yeah, we're in pre-production right now."
Right.
So
is it still okay? So it's, I mean, on IMDb it says it's filming right now,
okay.
Yeah.
and I at the time I didn't remember the director, and I didn't know he also did the first. Well, he wrote. Did he direct the first one? No, he just wrote the first one.
Oh, that makes sense because Elizabeth Olsen is quarantined on some set.
Okay.
So
Okay.
All right. I mean, considering that if you look at the stuff he's directed before,
Yeah.
this is, this could be interesting. He did the Sinister movies. He's done horror before.
Right.
So I've said this before, like Rich and I have talked about, I liked Marvel from the beginning, but I wasn't completely invested at the time. I was like, yeah, they're just kind of, they're fine. But then once Marvel decided, you know what, let's get like the freaky weird directors to start making these films. That's when the quality took this huge turn. Hey, let's get that lunatic that made all those weird movies called, like, what's his, James Gunn? He came and pitched this, these more obscure characters that just blew up, and still with that. And then Rich told me about his, like, I remember you were like, because you were trying to get me to get into the Marvel movies, and I was like, I don't know. And you're like, just watch Winter Soldier and it'll change everything. And then looking into how just great. Like, okay, we have two other weirdo directors now, and then Taika Waititi came in, another wacko director comes in, and
Yeah.
these guys and then we have Scott Derrickson now. Like, let's just get all the freaks to make Marvel movies now.
Right.
Like, and it's clearly been working out for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and now with WandaVision, it's so weird and different, and
Right.
it just gets me excited. The same thing with Mandalorian. We're
Yeah.
getting like different freaks on Star Wars now, and it's freak in a good way, obviously.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it just gets me excited. And okay, well, I'm glad that hopefully it doesn't get delayed. I'm glad we don't have to wait too long for multiverse to come out.
I mean,
Yeah.
so even if we wait till March 2022,
Mhm.
I mean, looking at if all these dates are still correct,
Yeah.
we're gonna have nonstop Marvel for a couple of years. Like when
Yeah.
I say nonstop, Winter Soldier begins like 2 weeks after WandaVision. And then right after that ends, Loki starts.
Mhm.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
right after that, What If starts.
Right.
And then after that, we get Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
And then after that, we get Hawkeye.
Yeah.
We got plenty to work
That's
with.
all 2021. That's
Yeah.
just the television series.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Black
nuts.
Widow comes out this year, and then in summer, Shang-Chi comes out. Then the Externals comes out
Mhm.
Right.
this year. So, well, yeah, we're gonna have whatever comes out of this. I feel like we're gonna have to wait, or maybe Loki will touch in some of this stuff also.
Mhm.
Considering
But-
it seems like he's jumping everywhere, so it would make sense it would touch on some of it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then the year ends with Spider-Man Far From Home. And that's been touted as like the middle of this trilogy of WandaVision.
Multiverse.
Mhm.
Like the multiverse story is WandaVision, Spider-Man, and then Doctor Strange.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and then next year it's Moon Knight, She-Hulk, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And then we're not really sure when Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars,
Right.
and then now the Wakanda series.
Yeah.
And then who knows what they might announce later
Right.
on, who can I bring in? Jubilee.
Yeah.
Dazzler. I mean, we saw them hit the animated like Hulu series because
Yeah.
like MODOK is still happening.
Yeah. For what we know.
From what we know.
Yeah.
Like
That's the only one.
Like I'm still hoping that we get Howard the Duck and Dazzler in some other form. They didn't do it with Hulu, but like bringing in Howard the Duck apparently was in the Endgame sequence.
Yeah.
What?
That's what I've heard. Like,
yeah,
he appears in the Endgame sequence where everyone comes back.
When Steve Rogers says Avengers Assemble,
He's in that scene.
What? He's in there?
Yeah. You have to like freeze frame.
All right. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah.
So like he's in universe, and I would love to see just a weird show or movie starring Howard the Duck.
I'll never forget seeing him in car. I was like I remember, I think I was thinking, really, James? All right, let's work. And then I was happy. I was like, I remember I didn't quite know. I was like, is that Howard the Duck? Like, I was of course this whack job would bring him in.
Like honestly, like I know he never wants to do a big budget Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could bring Kevin Smith in to do a Howard the Duck something. Because he was going to do the animated series.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just give him a like you're bringing all these weirdo directors.
TV series.
Yeah.
Give him a thing. I mean, he's doing.
Yeah.
He's no stranger doing TV and whatever. I mean, he's doing Master of the Universe now.
Right.
Which I know is not anything related to Marvel, but he just played the music for Masters of the Universe by Bear McCready
Mhm.
of Battlestar Galactica. And
Yeah.
he played the sequence where he, the transformation sequence music. And it's
Right.
amazing. It's like
Right.
you're like, what? This is the level of music on this show.
Yeah.
Just by that, I'm like, awesome. But yeah, I'm
That's
like,
all.
if you're ever gonna give Kevin Smith a Marvel anything, give him Howard
Yeah.
the Duck.
Howard did that. All right. Well, we have come to the end of our episode. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and do like this post, as it really does help us out. Leave your comments below as to what your favorite part of this episode was, and share our posts with your family and friends on your social sites. We really appreciate that. You can reach us at podcast@castlescavesandclones.com. Leave your feedback, good or bad. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach me personally on Twitter @LowJav and on Instagram @Loren Javier. How about you guys?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram @R2Romasanta.
Nice. Thom?
I am inactive, taking a break from social media right now, but I am still. I am. Well, I don't know what's happening. I am still doing the streaming thing on Twitch, and
Yeah.
that's at 6orbs.
Cool.
So again, disclaimer:
Mature content.
Yeah.
mature content, at least language anyway.
Yeah.
Imagine if Rocket was rated R.
Right.
Oh no,
Or-
I'm sorry.
or
I keep
Deadpool.
forgetting. You meant
Deadpool.
just think Deadpool. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the opinions expressed on today's podcast are solely our own, do not represent the Walt Disney Company, its subsidiaries, or assets. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you later, guys. Bye.
Yep.
Ta.
Catch you on the flip side.